Let me be straight with you. Winning at life isn't luck, it's a system. It's not for the smartest or the richest or the most connected. It's for the ones who are willing to learn the rules and follow them like their life depends on it, because it does. These are the 9 rules to win at life, and if you live by them, your entire world will change. Rule 1. Wake up with intention. Stop starting your day by reacting to life. You scroll your phone, you hit snooze, and before you know it, you've handed your power over to the world. Winning starts with owning your morning. Even 5 minutes of silence, intention, or journaling can shift your entire mindset. Most people go through life feeling stuck, overwhelmed, and unsure of how to truly succeed. They think success is about luck or talent, but the truth is, winning in life comes down to how you live every single day. It's the small choices, the habits, the mindset, and the rules you choose to live by. When you follow a system, when you adopt rules that empower you, your life changes. Not because the world becomes easier, but because you become stronger. The first rule to win at life is waking up with intention. Every morning you wake up, you're either moving forward or falling behind. The problem is, most people start their day in reaction mode. They grab their phone, they check notifications, they immediately put their brain into a state of stress and distraction. When you do that, you're handing your power over to the world before you've even gotten out of bed. The way you start your morning sets the tone for everything else. If you want to win, you need to start the day on your terms. Even 5 minutes of silence, journaling, or clarity can rewire your focus and make you intentional instead of reactive. You don't need a perfect morning routine. You just need to stop giving your energy to things that don't serve you before you've given yourself what you need. And that leads us to the second rule, which is using the 5-second rule to take action. You already know what to do most of the time. You know you should get up, you know you should make that call, you know you should stop procrastinating, but you hesitate. That window between knowing what to do and actually doing it, that's where your dreams die. When you use the 5-second rule, counting 5 to 4, 3 to 2 minutes 1 and taking action, you interrupt the autopilot that keeps you stuck. You train your brain to trust you. You build a habit of doing the hard things immediately instead of waiting until you feel like it, because guess what? You'll never feel like it. But you don't need to feel like it to do it. Discipline is the real key. That's the third rule. People think winners are always motivated. No, winners are disciplined. Motivation is a feeling. It's unreliable. Discipline is a decision. It's what keeps you going on the days when you're tired, uninspired, and stressed. And you will have those days. Life isn't perfect, and you won't always be excited to keep showing up. But when you're disciplined, you do the thing anyway. You keep the promise to yourself. You build routines that remove decision fatigue. You make success automatic, not optional. Every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, you build self-respect. That is how confidence is created. Not from achieving results, but from proving to yourself that you can rely on you. Another major piece of winning in life is understanding your environment. Your surroundings, your people, your inputs, they all shape you. That's rule number 4. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, distractions, people who drain your energy, or content that makes you feel inadequate, how do you expect to thrive? You need to audit your environment like your future depends on it, because it does. Set up your space for focus. Protect your energy from toxic people. Feed your mind with content that challenges and inspires you. If you can't change your environment immediately, you must become stronger than the forces trying to pull you down. Be the thermostat, not the thermometer. Lead the energy in the room instead of absorbing it. And finally, the 5th rule is mastering your self-talk. What you say to yourself matters more than anything anyone else could ever say to you. Your brain is always listening. And if your inner voice is constantly critical, doubting, or fearful, then your actions will reflect that. You can't outperform your self-belief. Start speaking to yourself like a coach, not a critic. When you catch yourself thinking, I can't do this, shift it to, I'm learning how. That one sentence change can shift your entire belief system. Words are powerful, and the most powerful ones are the ones you say silently to yourself. If you want to win, that internal dialogue needs to support you, not sabotage you. The first 5 rules alone can completely shift your life. When you stop reacting and start leading your day with intention, when you beat hesitation with action, when you choose discipline over excuses, when you design an environment that supports you, and when you speak to yourself with power, there is no version of your life that doesn't improve. Winning isn't reserved for the special few. It's available to anyone willing to learn and live by the rules that create success. You don't need to wait, you just need to start. When it comes to winning in life, most people think they need to do something dramatic. They wait for the perfect moment, the big break, or a sudden wave of motivation to carry them forward. But that moment never comes, and they end up staying stuck in the same patterns, waiting for something outside of them to change what's happening inside. But here's the truth. Winning isn't a destination. It's a mindset and a set of habits. It's about living by a system of rules that help you rise when everything in you wants to stay the same. One of the most powerful rules is recognizing that the hard thing is almost always the right thing to do. This is where growth happens. This is where your courage is tested. When you feel resistance, when something makes you uncomfortable, that's not a signal to run away. It's a signal to lean in. That discomfort is your invitation to evolve. Too many people avoid hard things because they associate them with pain or failure. But the truth is, your life gets easier when you choose to do hard things. The challenge of getting fit, the discomfort of having a tough conversation, the fear of launching that project, those are the very things that shape your character. When you do what's hard, your life becomes easier. But when you keep choosing what's easy, sleeping in, avoiding responsibility, saying yes when you mean no, your life gets harder in the long run. So when something scares you or challenges you, don't back down, step up. That's where confidence is built. You don't need to be fearless. You need to act while you're afraid. That's what courage looks like. Now, here's another rule you need to embrace if you want to win in life. Failure is not the end. It's not a reason to quit. It's not proof that you're not good enough. It's feedback. That's it. Every failure you've had, every rejection, every closed door, those aren't stop signs. They're guideposts. They're showing you what didn't work so you can get closer to what will. But most people take failure personally. They internalize it. They use it to reinforce limiting beliefs like, I'm not capable or I'll never make it. That's the wrong lens. If you're failing, you're trying. You're in the game. And that alone puts you ahead of 90% of people who are too afraid to even start. You have to shift your perspective on failure. Instead of thinking I failed, start thinking I learned. Ask yourself, what did this teach me? What can I do differently next time? When you take failure as a lesson, it becomes a tool. It strengthens you. It sharpens you. And when you stop fearing failure, you start taking bolder action. That's when the magic happens. That's when life opens up. Another critical rule is protecting your energy like it's the most valuable thing you have, because it is. People think time is their most precious resource, but it's not. Energy is. You can have all the time in the world, but if you're mentally and emotionally drained, you won't use that time well. You won't make progress. So you need to protect your energy fiercely. That means cutting off distractions. It means saying no to things that don't align with your goals. It means walking away from toxic conversations, energy vampires, and environments that suck the life out of you. You don't owe anyone your peace. You don't owe anyone your attention. You owe it to yourself to protect your focus, your mental clarity, and your emotional well-being. Start being intentional about where your energy goes. Think of your energy as currency. Would you spend all your money on things that drain you? No. So stop doing it with your energy. Every day, ask yourself, who or what is getting most of my energy right now? Is it worth it? If it's not building you, inspiring you, or moving you forward, you need to make a change. Winners aren't just good at doing, they're good at protecting. They protect their mindset, their space, their goals, and their peace like it's sacred. Because it is. And here's the last rule I'll share in this section. Do one brave thing every day. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You don't need to make massive changes to feel powerful. All you need to do is take one small, brave action each day. It could be speaking up when you're scared to. It could be applying for the opportunity even though you feel underqualified. It could be telling the truth, setting a boundary, or showing up fully when you'd rather hide. When you do something brave every single day, your brain starts to learn that fear is not danger. It starts to associate bravery with growth. and you begin to trust yourself in a way you never have before. Bravery isn't loud. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's as simple as choosing yourself when you've spent years putting everyone else first. But those moments add up. Every time you choose bravery over comfort, you grow stronger. You become the kind of person who wins, not because life got easier, but because you got better at doing the hard things, taking bold steps, and living by rules that actually serve you. That's how you win, one brave choice at a time. Winning at life doesn't happen by accident. It happens through intention, consistency, and following certain principles that empower you to stay grounded when life gets chaotic. One of the most misunderstood truths about success is this: it's not about perfection, it's about progress. And that's the next rule. Stop trying to get everything exactly right before you take action. Stop waiting for all the pieces to line up perfectly. Life doesn't work that way. The people who win aren't the ones who do it flawlessly. They're the ones who keep showing up, even when it's messy. You win by improving a little every day, not by being perfect once in a while. Perfectionism is a trap. It's a form of fear dressed up as high standards, and it's keeping you stuck. When you focus on making progress instead, when you shift your mindset from "I have to get it right" to "I just need to get it going," you start to build real momentum. That's when your life starts to move. Perfection isn't necessary, but action is. The only way to improve, to grow, to build confidence is by doing the thing, getting feedback, and adjusting along the way. You cannot think your way into success. You have to act your way into it. That means showing up, even when it's not polished. Launch the idea, take the steps, speak up. It won't be perfect, but that's okay. Progress compounds. 1% better every day may not seem like much in the moment, but over time, it creates massive transformation. Stop waiting to be perfect. Just get started. Progress builds trust in yourself, and that trust is what fuels every win in your life. Another rule that transforms everything is owning your story. So many people carry shame, regret, or comparison because they think their journey should look like someone else's. They look at what others have, what others are doing, and they shrink. They feel behind. But there is no behind in life. You're not on anyone else's timeline. You're not supposed to copy someone else's path. You're supposed to own your story, every part of it, the wins, the losses, the mistakes, the lessons, because the truth is your power comes from your path. The things you've been through, the challenges you've overcome, the unique way you see the world, those are your strengths. But you can't access them if you're too busy judging them. The people who win at life are the ones who stop hiding who they are. They stop pretending. They stop editing themselves to fit in. Instead, they decide that their voice matters, their journey matters, and they use it. Your story can be your prison or it can be your power. It all depends on how you choose to see it. When you own it, you become unshakable. You stop needing validation from others because you've already accepted yourself. That acceptance is where freedom begins. Another game-changing rule is to simplify your focus. In a world full of noise, distractions, and a million options, clarity is a superpower. You can't do everything, and you shouldn't try. Winners don't scatter their energy. They concentrate it. They pick the one thing that matters most and go all in. Too many people are trying to juggle 10 goals at once, wondering why they're not getting anywhere. It's because progress requires focus. You need to know what matters most right now. What's your top priority this week? What's the one thing, if accomplished, would make everything else easier? Clarity turns chaos into momentum. Once you identify what really matters, everything else becomes noise. You start saying no with confidence. You stop chasing shiny objects. You stop comparing yourself to people who aren't even playing the same game. Focus gives you power. When your energy is aligned with a clear goal, you move faster, make better decisions, and waste less time. Simplify your focus and amplify your results. The final rule in this part of the journey is to embrace responsibility. Everything in your life may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. That shift in thinking is what separates winners from victims. Victims wait to be rescued. Winners rise up and lead their own lives. When you take full responsibility, not just for what you've done, but for what you're going to do, you take your power back. You stop blaming, you stop complaining, and you start creating. Responsibility is not about guilt, it's about ownership. It's saying, this is my life, and I'm going to lead it. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. You can control your attitude, your effort, your choices. That's where real freedom lives. When you realize that no one is coming to save you, that's when you save yourself. And when you do, you start building a life that reflects your values, your goals, and your potential. These rules aren't just principles, they're a roadmap. And when you live by them, life starts to work for you, not against you. One of the most important shifts you can make in your life is understanding the power of momentum. Momentum doesn't come from a single massive action. It comes from the consistent repetition of small, meaningful decisions. It comes from showing up every single day and doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. That's how success is built, through discipline, not inspiration. The people who win at life aren't always the smartest, the fastest, or the most talented. They are the most consistent. They know that repetition is the mother of mastery. When you do something over and over again, even when it's hard, you get better. You build muscle memory. You train your mind to push through resistance instead of giving into it. This is how habits are formed. And your habits are the foundation of your success. Every day, you're either reinforcing habits that build you up or habits that break you down. You may not realize it, but your life right now is the result of the habits you've practiced the most. Whether it's hitting snooze, procrastinating, doubting yourself, or scrolling endlessly, you've trained those behaviors. But the good news is, you can retrain yourself. You can replace those destructive habits with empowering ones. And you don't need to do it all at once. You just need to start small. Pick one habit that aligns with the future you want. Commit to it daily. Make it so simple that you can't fail. Over time, that tiny habit will compound into something powerful. That's how winners think. They understand the compounding effect of small intentional actions. Another key rule to win life is learning to delay gratification. We live in a world that promotes quick results, instant pleasure, and shortcuts. But real growth doesn't work like that. The most meaningful rewards in life come from patience and perseverance. Whether you're building a business, improving your health, strengthening your mindset, or developing a skill, it all takes time. And the willingness to stay the course, even when the results aren't immediate, is what sets winners apart from quitters. The people who succeed are the ones who can see the long game. They understand that temporary discomfort is the price you pay for long-term fulfillment. They stop chasing dopamine hits and start chasing purpose. Delayed gratification builds resilience. It strengthens your emotional muscle. When you learn to hold off on what feels good now in favor of what will feel great later, you gain power. You stop being reactive. You become strategic. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you send a message to your brain that your goals matter more than your urges. That's a powerful identity shift. That's how you start becoming the person who naturally makes decisions that serve their highest potential. Another essential rule for winning at life is to surround yourself with people who challenge you, support you, and reflect the kind of life you want to live. Your circle matters more than you think. You become like the people you spend the most time with. If you're constantly around complainers, quitters, or people who settle, you'll eventually absorb their mindset. But if you surround yourself with people who take ownership of their lives, who push limits, who think big, you'll rise to their level. Energy is contagious. That's why you have to protect your circle like your future depends on it. Because it does. Sometimes that means letting go of relationships that no longer align with where you're going. And yes, that's hard. But staying stuck because you're afraid to outgrow your environment is even harder. Growth often requires separation. And that's okay. You're not leaving people behind, you're just choosing to evolve. And the right people will support that. Winners are intentional about who they allow into their lives. They seek mentors, accountability partners, and friends who push them to stay on track. You don't have to do it alone, but you do have to be selective. Lastly, one of the most underrated rules for winning is practicing gratitude every day. This isn't about being blindly positive or ignoring challenges. It's about choosing to focus on what you have instead of what you lack. Gratitude rewires your brain to see possibilities instead of problems. It grounds you in the present moment, and it keeps you from falling into the trap of never feeling satisfied. When you're grateful, you operate from abundance, not scarcity. And when you live from a place of abundance, you attract more of what you want. Gratitude is fuel. It gives you energy. It reminds you that even on your hardest days, there's still something worth fighting for. Life doesn't owe you anything, but you owe yourself everything. You owe yourself the effort, the discipline, the courage to live fully. These rules aren't magic. They're just truths most people ignore. But if you embrace them, live them, and commit to them daily, there's no version of your life that won't improve. Winning isn't luck. It's built, one decision at a time. If you really want to win at life, you have to accept one final, undeniable truth. It all starts and ends with you. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you the life you dream about. It's your responsibility to build it. That might sound overwhelming, but it's actually empowering. Because it means you're not waiting anymore. You're not hoping that someone gives you permission. You're not relying on external circumstances to determine your success. You're in charge now. The life you want is possible, but only if you're willing to take full ownership of your mindset, your decisions, and your actions. When you stop outsourcing your power and start acting like the CEO of your life, everything changes. You stop asking why me and start asking what now. That shift puts you in control. Winning doesn't mean you'll always feel confident. Confidence is not something you were born with. It's something you create. And the way you build confidence is by doing the things that scare you, especially when you don't feel ready. Confidence is the result of keeping promises to yourself. Every time you follow through, every time you push through discomfort, every time you take action, even when your mind is full of doubt, you earn trust in yourself. And that trust compounds. Eventually, it turns into a quiet belief that no matter what happens, you'll figure it out. That's the kind of confidence that doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be posted or proven. It's just there, because you've built it one brave moment at a time. Another key rule to win life is giving yourself permission to reinvent. You are not who you were last year, last month, or even last week. But if you keep thinking and acting like that old version of you, you'll stay stuck in the same patterns. You have to update your identity to match the life you want. If you want to be more focused, start thinking of yourself as someone who values discipline. If you want to get healthier, stop saying you're someone who always quits. Start acting like someone who takes care of their body. Change doesn't start with action. It starts with identity. You have to believe you're the kind of person who can succeed. And that belief starts by telling yourself a new story. Your past is a lesson, not a label. You can outgrow your old limitations, but only if you stop defending them. Letting go of your old identity might feel scary because it's familiar, but comfort is the enemy of growth. Nothing extraordinary happens when you stay in the zone of what's known and easy. Winners don't chase comfort. They chase clarity, growth, and purpose. And they know that discomfort is part of the journey. The goal is not to avoid discomfort. It's to build the strength to move through it. You will never feel fully ready, and that's okay. Start anyway. Action creates clarity. Motion reveals the next step. You don't have to know the entire path. You just have to take the next step with courage. Winning also means embracing responsibility for your emotions. Life is going to throw challenges at you. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. But you always have the power to choose your response. Emotional maturity is a skill, and it's one that successful people practice daily. Instead of reacting impulsively, they pause, they process. They ask, what's the most empowered way I can respond right now? You are not your emotions, you are the observer of them. And when you can separate your reaction from your response, you take control back from your circumstances. To win in life, you also have to be willing to keep going long after the excitement wears off. There will be days when it feels like nothing is working. Days when you question everything. That's when you need to remember your why. You didn't start this journey because it was easy. You started because something inside of you knew there was more. That version of you that dared to dream bigger, that version deserves to be honored. Don't give up just because progress feels slow. Progress is still progress. Most people quit when it gets boring or hard. Winners keep showing up. They stay in the game, and that consistency is what ultimately separates those who succeed from those who settle. Finally, don't forget that winning doesn't mean doing it all on your own. Ask for help, find mentors, learn from others. You're not weak for needing guidance, you're smart for seeking it. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and remind you of who you are when you forget. Your environment can either reinforce your growth or pull you back into old patterns. Choose wisely. This isn't about living a perfect life. It's about building a life you're proud of, one small decision at a time. You already have everything you need inside of you. The courage, the discipline, the resilience, the clarity. Now it's time to stop waiting and start winning.